The recipient of the 2016 Tandana V Award, Jennifer Keesmaat.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute thrill to be here, and I have to say it's very disconcerting to sit in the audience and watch a video of yourself that you've never seen before. But I did. I sat through this. Thank you, York University, for so many things. Thank you for this honor, being recognized this evening. It means a tremendous amount to me. The award that I'm the recipient of is called The Way Must Be Tried. And I love this because the reality is, in my professional practice today, I'm trying a lot of things that I don't necessarily know the answer to. And part of my professional life is structured that way precisely because of the complexities and the challenges that we see in the world before us today. As I said in the video, there are people that I met in my very first week. Some of you in the room might remember Shadow Lake. Very first week, we went to Shadow Lake, and I met some of my very best friends who, in fact, have had not only a profound impact on my thinking, but, in fact, have shaped my life to this very day. Some of them you might know. I'd like to name them in honor of them. Naveen Nayak, Adam Auer, and Antonio Gomez Palacio. I feel very emotional saying that for a variety of reasons, and one is because Antonio became my business partner and has really been a mentor to me, although he was also my peer. Adam is, in fact, one of my dearest friends who continues to shape the way that I think every day. And Naveen Nayak is currently in Washington, where he has spent the past 2 years, in fact, working as the head of Hillary Clinton's campaign, the social media aspect of her campaign. We, in fact, were an incredibly idealistic group. And in fact, we continue to be an incredibly idealistic group. And in part because we were shaped by the idealism and the aspirations of our professors. There are a few key people that I would like to acknowledge. Barbara Rader was one of my thesis advisors, and in her gentle, soft way was constantly pushing and prodding me to think in new ways about the world around me. Engen Eisen was my other thesis advisor, my major paper advisor, and Engen pushed me to be experimental. He allowed me, in fact, to undertake embedded research, which, believe it or not, was in a counselor's office at City Hall. I also studied under Jean Desvaux and Gerda Workerly, who are here today. Importantly, I would like to acknowledge Roger Kyle. Roger, I would love it if you would stand up. Roger Kyle taught me so many things. He taught me to see the world in new ways. He taught me to embrace complexity. He, in fact, even just this evening in a conversation that we've had, has challenged me in the areas where he's concerned I may, in fact, have oversight with respect to the work that I'm doing today. And I just want to say that not only is that the discipline of a true professor, but it's also the discipline of a true mentor. So thank you, Roger, for your incredible commitment to your students. It's had a profound impact on my work. Thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge someone else who isn't here today, but who may be known to some of you, who's Lionel Feldman, who not only taught me and read my major paper and provided a tremendous amount of critique, but has continued to advise me as I've moved through my professional life, including once when I was very young and a political party approached me and suggested I run for office, and Lionel said, "It's too soon, it's too soon." And I couldn't be more grateful for that advice. Also in the room today is Bob Millward, who has played an important role in advising me and being a constant mentor and a constant friend throughout my professional life. And Bob, I'd love it if you'd stand up and take a bow as well. I would also like to take a moment, I was told that I could invite some guests this evening, and I'd like to take a moment and acknowledge some of my guests because they played such an important role in my life and in my work, and I don't actually get to acknowledge them very often. My very close friends, Philip and Jennifer Taylor, who in fact are the people I'm allowed to not be the chief planner around, who give me a tremendous amount of space and let me sit through an entire dinner without saying a single word just because I'm so tired. Their friendship is absolutely invaluable to me. Next to them is Bill Sondercook, who is in fact, I met when he was a city councillor at City Hall, and I did some work for him, and we became fast friends. And we created a documentary, a short documentary called Pedestrian Jar, to raise awareness about pedestrian deaths in the city. And we have in fact been fast friends ever since. I would also like to acknowledge Janet Rosenberg and Abe Chayton. When I became chief planner in the city of Toronto, Janet said, "We need to celebrate." And in fact, she pulled together a party to celebrate this turning point of having a female chief planner in the city of Toronto for the very first time. She recognized that as significant. But she went one step further. And she, in fact, pulled together a group of women leaders in the city to be my sounding board, to provide support for me in this role because she knew that it was going to be tough going. And she knew that as a woman who entered a man's world many, many years ago and has carved out her own course, she knew what I had ahead of me and in fact has created a web of support for me that has been invaluable. Thank you so much, Janet. I would also like to acknowledge the current Dean of Environmental Studies, Noel Sturgeon, who in fact is a wonderful leader and an inspiration, I know, to the students in the room, but also to me. I would also like to acknowledge my two beautiful children. This is a very special night for me because usually when I'm out, in the back of my mind, I'm anxious to get home to them. But this evening, they're in fact here with me. Lewis, stand up, Lewis. Let everyone take a look at you. My son, Lewis Freeman, who really keeps it real for me when I come home from a city council meeting and he has a video of him wiping out on his skateboard and he's got scratches all over his body. It really keeps things very real for me. But also my daughter, Alexandra Freeman. Alex, please stand up. When Alexandra was 5 years old, I came home one day and she had all of her teddy bears in the living room. And I said, "Oh, are you playing school, sweetie?" And she said, No, I'm hosting a public meeting. And I said, "Oh, really? And what's the public meeting about?" And she said, "Mommy, the people don't like the tall buildings." I'm 99% sure that Alexandra could pass the planning exams today. She's been so immersed in my work, and I'm very proud of both of my children and the incredible people that they are becoming. I would also like to acknowledge my husband, Tom, who I rarely get to acknowledge. My husband, Tom, is my partner in any way. And 7 a.m. in the morning, when I'm about to send what might be a very controversial tweet, it's Tom, in fact, who is my advisor and my guide, who gives me my best advice very early in the morning, very late at night, and throughout the day. And he was there through grad school. He's been there through every step of the way. And none of what I've really done in my professional life would I have been able to do without having an absolute 100% complete partner in my life. And I'm so grateful, Tom, that you are that partner in my life. I was drawn to planning because I couldn't stop making connections. And planning is really about how we share our lives in common. It's really about what are we going to share? What are we not going to share? How are we going to negotiate what we will share? Planning and the questions related to planning could not be more pertinent in the world that we see in front of us today. It's a time in history, I would argue, where we need to embrace our idealism. We cannot take our freedom, our democratic freedom, for granted. It is precisely because dangerous ideas are becoming normalized in our politics, and therefore in our everyday life, that we need to go back to ideas to help us understand how we ought to live together and how we might, in fact, create a just society. I'm deeply grateful for the interdisciplinary training that I received at York University. It's truly shaped me in every way, and as a result, this award is a great honor. Thank you.